The vast observation deck of the Meridian flagship Eternal Dawn fell silent as Supreme Commander Vexterra studied the holographic projection of the blue-green planet below. Earth, such a simple name for what would soon become another trophy in the Empire's vast collection of conquered worlds. Her iridescent scales shifted from deep purple to a satisfied gold as she contemplated how easy this conquest would be. "Report," she commanded, her multifaceted eyes never leaving the projection. High Analyst Krell stepped forward, his ceremonial robes rustling in the artificial gravity. "The species calls themselves humans. Supreme Commander. They've barely achieved rudimentary space travel, limited to their own solar system. Their military technology is primitive. They still rely on chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons." A ripple of amusement passed through the gathered officers. Such backwards technology was almost charming in a primitive sort of way. "Their social structure?" Vexterra inquired, mandibles clicking softly. "Fractured, Supreme Commander. Multiple nation-states, constant internal conflicts, no unified planetary government. They spend more resources fighting each other than advancing their civilization." "Perfect. They would be like all the others, easy to crush, easy to subjugate, easy to add to the glory of the Meridian Empire." Vexterra had overseen dozens of such conquests in her 3 centuries of service. The pattern never changed. "Prepare the standard ultimatum," she ordered. "Give them 1 planetary rotation to surrender and submit to Imperial rule." "Supreme Commander," a junior analyst interrupted, an act that would normally merit severe punishment. "There is one anomaly in our data that requires attention." Vexterra turned slowly, her scales darkening. "Speak quickly." "The humans, they're adaptive, more so than any species we've encountered. Their rate of technological advancement over just the past century is unprecedented, and their responses to crisis situations show remarkable." "Enough," Vexterra cut him off. "They're primitives with projectile weapons and combustion engines. Your concern is noted but unnecessary. Send the ultimatum." The message was broadcast simultaneously to every major population center on Earth. The Empire's translation matrices ensured perfect comprehension in every human language. "Submit or be destroyed. Accept Imperial rule or face extinction." They had 24 hours to decide. The response came not from Earth's political leaders, but from a human military installation in what they called Colorado. A single video transmission, broadcast on the exact frequencies the Empire had used for their ultimatum. The human wore what appeared to be a military uniform, though it looked absurdly inadequate compared to Meridian battle armor. She stood straight, hands clasped behind her back, expression neutral. "I am General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We've received your ultimatum." She paused, the ghost of a smile touching her lips. "The answer is no." Vexterra's scales rippled with amusement. "You understand this means your extinction." "No," General Chen replied calmly. "It means you've made the worst mistake in your empire's history. You see, we've been watching you for quite some time. Those primitive sensors you detected, decoys, those fractured nation-states, a carefully maintained illusion, that limited space presence. Well, she smiled fully now. You really should have checked the dark side of Mars." Proximity alarms suddenly screamed across the Eternal Dawn's bridge. Impossible energy signatures were appearing everywhere, behind Mars, within the asteroid belt, even in close proximity to Earth's moon. Vessels of unknown configuration, running on principles that defied Imperial scanning technology. "You thought you were dealing with primitives," General Chen continued. "Instead, you've just declared war on a species that mastered quantum entanglement while you were still playing with faster-than-light drives. A species that developed consciousness transfer while you were celebrating the invention of energy shields. A species that turned its own homeworld into a fortress while maintaining the perfect illusion of vulnerability." Vexterra's scales had gone ash-gray. The tactical displays were lighting up with more contacts every second. How had they hidden such a fleet? Such technology. We could have been allies, General Chen said, her voice carrying genuine regret. We were prepared to extend the hand of friendship, to share our advancements. Instead, you chose conquest. She shook her head. You should have done your homework better. Humanity has spent its entire history preparing for this moment. Not because we're warlike, but because we've read our own science fiction. We've imagined this scenario 1,000 different ways. And we've been getting ready. The transmission cut off. In its wake, thousands of human vessels emerged from their hidden positions, their weapons already charged, their capabilities unknown. As Vextera watched her carefully arranged conquest turn into a tactical nightmare, she realized the junior analyst had been right. They should have paid more attention to humanity's capacity for adaptation. Now they would learn about it the hard way. In the observation deck of the Eternal Dawn, as chaos erupted around her, Supreme Commander Vextera understood with crystal clarity. The Meridian Empire hadn't found its next conquest. It had found its doom. The Meridian Empire had never experienced anything like the silence that followed their failed ultimatum. They expected panic, desperate negotiations, or futile resistance. Instead, they got nothing. The human ships maintained their positions, their weapons primed but unused. They didn't advance. They didn't retreat. They simply waited. In the Strategic Command Center beneath Mount Cheyenne, General Chen studied the holographic display of the solar system. Hundreds of Meridian warships hung in space like angry red stars, their formations textbook perfect. Too perfect. They still think they're dealing with primitives, she noted to her staff. Look at their deployment pattern. Standard intimidation formation, designed to overwhelm less advanced civilizations with a show of force. Colonel James Rodriguez, her head of tactical operations, nodded. They haven't adjusted their strategy at all. Pride or something else? Both, Chen replied. Their entire civilization is built on technological superiority. They can't process the idea that we might have surpassed them in secret. She turned to Dr. Emily Zhang, Chief of Advanced Systems, status on the quantum mesh. Zhang's fingers danced across her neural interface. Fully operational. Every human ship is quantum-locked with its entire battle group. The Meridians won't be able to disrupt our communications because they don't even know what they're looking for. This was humanity's first true advantage. While the Meridians relied on traditional faster-than-light communications, human ships could coordinate instantaneously through quantum entanglement. Each vessel carried thousands of entangled particles, linked in a complex web that allowed for instant, untraceable communication across any distance. And the consciousness backups? Chen asked. Every soldier, every crew member, Zhang confirmed. If any ship is destroyed, we won't lose the experience and knowledge of its crew. They'll wake up in new bodies at the nearest resurrection facility. This was the second advantage, one that would soon shake the Meridian Empire to its core. Human consciousness could be transferred, backed up, and restored. Death had become a temporary inconvenience. In high orbit above Mars, Commander Diana Jackson felt a familiar tingle as her consciousness synchronized with the backup system. Her ship, the UES Prometheus, was one of the most advanced vessels ever created by human hands. Its quantum drive could bend space in ways the Meridians thought impossible. Its adaptive hull could reconfigure itself in real time, responding to damage or tactical needs. All ships reporting ready, her XO announced. Battle groups are synchronized through the quantum mesh. Jackson nodded, studying the Meridian fleet through advanced sensors that could peer through their stealth systems as if they were transparent. They still haven't detected our subsurface installations on Mars. Negative. Their sensors can't penetrate the quantum camouflage fields. As far as they know, Mars is just a red rock. Beneath the Martian surface, vast manufacturing complexes hummed with activity. Automated factories produced advanced weaponry and ships at an unprecedented rate. Quantum replicators could copy any piece of technology instantly, allowing for rapid replacement of losses. This was humanity's third advantage. Industrial capacity beyond anything the Meridians could imagine. Back in the Strategic Command Center, General Chen received the final confirmation she had been waiting for. Every piece was in place. Every system was ready. The trap was set. "Send the message," she ordered. Across the solar system, every human ship simultaneously broadcast the same signal to the Meridian fleet. It was a simple text message, translated into their language. "Your empire spans 1,000 stars. Ours spans a single solar system. You think this makes us weak. You're about to learn why we chose to concentrate our power rather than spread it thin. You're about to learn why humanity has survived every catastrophe, every challenge, every threat to our existence. The lesson begins now." As the message was transmitted, quantum signals raced through the human fleet. Ships began to move in perfect coordination, their formation shifting like a living organism. The Meridian Empire was about to discover that their greatest nightmare wasn't a primitive species with crude weapons. It was an advanced civilization that had deliberately hidden its true nature, preparing for centuries for this exact moment. In her command chair, Commander Jackson allowed herself a small smile as the order came through the quantum mesh. "All ships, execute Operation Starbreak. Show them what humanity can really do." The silent response was over. The real war was about to begin. Operation Starbreak began with an impossibility. One moment, the human fleet was arrayed in defensive formations around Earth and Mars. The next, they simply ceased to exist. Every single ship vanished simultaneously, leaving the Meridian sensors grasping at empty space. Supreme Commander Vexterra's scales shifted to the deep red of battle alert. "Find them," she snarled. "Nothing can just disappear." Her words were cut short as human vessels materialized inside the Meridian formation. Not at its edges, not at a safe distance, but between their ships, within their defensive screens, in spaces too small for any normal vessel to occupy. "Quantum phase shift complete," Commander Jackson announced aboard the Prometheus, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding around them. "All ships report successful penetration of enemy formation. Initiating Stage 2. The human vessels began to change. Their hulls flowed like liquid metal, reorganizing themselves at the molecular level. Weapon ports appeared where there had been smooth surfaces. Energy collectors extended like blooming flowers. Each ship adapted its configuration to the exact tactical requirements of its position. The Meridian fleet erupted in panic. Their perfectly ordered formation became their prison as human ships pressed their advantage. Traditional space combat doctrine called for battles to be fought at vast distances, with energy weapons and missiles crossing the void between opposing fleets. The humans had simply ignored this convention, turning the battle into a point-blank brawl. "Impossible," High Analyst Krell whispered, watching as a human vessel half the size of a Meridian cruiser tore through its target's shields as if they didn't exist. "Their weapons, they're adapting to our defenses in real time." They were. Each human weapon was guided by quantum AI systems that could analyze and counter enemy defenses faster than organic minds could comprehend. Shield frequencies were identified and matched. Armor compositions were scanned, and the perfect countermeasures deployed. But the true horror, from the Meridian perspective, came when they finally managed to destroy a human ship. The vessel exploded spectacularly, and then its quantum-entangled particles reconfigured, drawing matter from subspace to reform the ship entirely. The crew, their consciousness safely backed up, were restored to new bodies within the reconstructed vessel. "We're fighting ghosts," a Meridian captain transmitted before his ship was torn apart. "They cannot die." In the Strategic Command Center, General Chen watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Initiate Stage 3, she ordered. The signal raced through the quantum mesh. In response, massive structures began to emerge from beneath the surface of Mars. They were particle accelerators on an unimaginable scale, built into the fabric of the planet itself. As they powered up, they created a web of gravitational distortions throughout the solar system. "Gravity web online," Dr. Zhang reported. Quantum anchors are in place. The trap was sprung. The Meridian ships suddenly found themselves unable to enter FTL. The carefully constructed gravity web had turned the entire solar system into a cage, one where humanity's quantum drives still functioned perfectly while conventional FTL technology was useless. Commander Jackson's voice echoed through the quantum mesh. All ships, execute containment protocol. Show them no quarter, but remember, we want prisoners, not corpses. The Empire needs to understand exactly what they've awakened. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries in military academies across the galaxy. Human ships danced through space in ways that defied conventional physics, their quantum drives allowing them to ignore traditional limitations of momentum and inertia. Their adaptive hulls reformed to present the smallest possible target profile while maximizing weapon coverage. Their crews fought with the fearless efficiency of warriors who knew death was merely an inconvenience. The Meridian Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds through superior technology and overwhelming force. Now they found themselves hopelessly outmatched by a species they had dismissed as primitives. In her command center, Vexterra watched her mighty fleet being systematically dismantled. The humans weren't just winning. They were revealing capabilities that shouldn't exist, demonstrating levels of technological advancement that the Empire's best scientists had theorized but never achieved. Send the retreat signal, she ordered, her scales now the pale gray of defeat. We can't, Supreme Commander, Krell responded, his voice shaking. Our FTL drives aren't responding. We're trapped. As if in response to his words, a final message came through from the human fleet. Your Empire's greatest weakness was its arrogance. You thought technology alone made you superior. We're about to teach you that humanity's greatest strength isn't our advanced technology. It's our ability to imagine, adapt, and overcome. Welcome to your first lesson. The Battle of Sol System had begun, and with it, the Meridian Empire's long-held beliefs about their place in the galaxy were about to be shattered forever. News of the Sol System disaster spread through the Meridian Empire like a quantum shockwave. The most powerful fleet in known space had been utterly defeated by a single system species. The impossible had happened, and the repercussions were devastating. In the Imperial capital on Meridius Prime, the High Council gathered in emergency session. The massive crystal dome of their chamber, normally pulsing with confident purple light, now flickered with the sickly green of fear. The humans have taken the entire fleet. First Speaker Ixel demanded, his ceremonial armor unable to hide his trembling. Worse, Second Speaker Vral responded. They've copied it. Their quantum replication technology. They've duplicated every ship they captured. They're not just studying our technology. They're improving it, combining it with their own advances. The chamber erupted in chaos. The idea of their prized warships being not just captured, but replicated and enhanced was beyond comprehension. But the worst news was yet to come. On the edges of Meridian space, reports began flooding in of strange vessels appearing from nowhere. Human ships, moving in ways that violated known physics, striking military installations, and vanishing before a response could be mounted. But they weren't destroying their targets. They were transforming them. Commander Jackson stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, now augmented with reversed engineered Meridian technology, as her fleet approached their latest target, a major Meridian shipyard. Quantum missiles armed, her weapons officer reported. Nanite payloads primed. These weren't conventional weapons. Each missile contained billions of quantum-entangled nanites, programmed not to destroy but to convert. As the missiles struck their targets, the nanites began their work, transforming Meridian technology from within. The beauty of it, Dr. Zhang had explained during the weapon's development, is that we're not just defeating their technology, we're evolving it. Each installation we convert becomes part of our quantum mesh, expanding our network across their empire. Back on Earth, General Chen received real-time updates through the ever-growing quantum network. The strategy was working perfectly. Instead of a conventional war of destruction, humanity had launched a war of transformation. "Status of the consciousness transfers," she asked. "The captured Meridian crews are adapting well to their new virtual environments," Colonel Rodriguez reported. "Many are actually choosing to remain in simulation even after understanding their situation. They're fascinated by how we think." This was perhaps humanity's most subtle victory. Every captured Meridian crew member had been offered a choice: remain in comfortable containment or experience life in an advanced virtual world that demonstrated humanity's perspective. Most chose the latter, and in doing so, began to understand just how limitless human imagination could be. In the imperial capital, the High Council's emergency session was interrupted by an unexpected manifestation. A holographic projection of General Chen appeared in their chamber, transmitted through their own communications network. "Greetings, council members," she said calmly. "I thought it was time we had a direct conversation about your empire's future." "How dare you?" First Speaker Ixel began, but Chen continued as if he hadn't spoken. "Your military installations are being transformed. Your ships are being evolved beyond your comprehension. Your crews are learning truths you've tried to hide from them. But we're not here to destroy you." She paused, letting the words sink in. "We're here to show you what you could become." The projection shifted, showing images of transformed Meridian technology working in harmony with human innovations. Ships that could think and adapt, cities that could rebuild themselves, energy systems that drew power from the quantum fabric of space itself. "Your empire was built on the belief that technological superiority gives you the right to rule," Chen continued. "We're showing you that true superiority comes from innovation, adaptation, and most importantly, cooperation." In the following days, the Meridian Empire began to fracture. Outer worlds, seeing the benefits of human technology, began declaring independence. Military units, their weapons and ships transformed by quantum nanites, refused orders to fight. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained imperial control for millennia was dissolving in the face of possibilities they had never imagined. Commander Jackson, overseeing another successful conversion operation, received a priority message through the quantum mesh. It was from one of the virtual environments where captured Meridian crews were housed. "They're ready," the AI supervisor reported. "The first group of Meridians has completed their perspective integration. They want to join us." Jackson smiled. This was the true victory, not defeating the Meridians, but helping them evolve. Humanity hadn't just won a war. They had sparked a revolution that would reshape galactic civilization itself. The hunter had indeed become the hunted, but the prey wasn't being destroyed. It was being transformed, elevated, evolved. The Meridian Empire was ending, but something far more interesting was about to begin. 5 years after the first contact between humanity and the Meridian Empire, the Galactic Assembly convened for the first time. The location was symbolic, a massive space station orbiting Earth, built through the combined efforts of human and transformed Meridian technology. Its quantum crystalline structure shifted constantly, adapting to the needs of its occupants, a living testament to how far things had come. Former Supreme Commander Vexterra, her scales now shimmering with the gold and blue of the new Meridian Federation, stood at a viewport watching ships arrive through quantum space. Each vessel was unique, some purely human in design, others Meridian, and many a harmonious blend of both civilizations' technologies. "Still hard to believe sometimes, isn't it?" General Chen asked, joining her at the window. The two former adversaries had become unlikely friends during the transformation period. "That we were foolish enough to think we could simply conquer Earth." Vexterra's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was laughter. "Or that your species had managed to hide such advancement from the entire galaxy." "Both," Chen smiled. "Though I admit, even we didn't anticipate how quickly the integration would proceed. Dr. Zheng's latest quantum consciousness matrix has exceeded all expectations." The quantum consciousness matrix had emerged as perhaps the most revolutionary development of the post-war period. It allowed for the sharing of experiences and perspectives across species, creating understanding that went far beyond mere translation of words or concepts. In the station's vast central chamber, Dr. Emily Zhang was preparing to present humanity's latest gift to the galaxy, technology that would allow for the creation of stable quantum realities, entire universes that could be shaped and explored at will. The key was learning to think beyond traditional limitations, she explained to the gathered representatives of 100 worlds. Humanity spent centuries imagining possibilities through what we called science fiction. When we finally developed the technology to make those dreams real, we already knew exactly what we wanted to do with it. Commander Jackson, now Admiral Jackson, watched the presentation from her position on the Assembly's Defense Council. The UES Prometheus, her faithful ship from the war, was now a teaching vessel, helping other species understand the principles of quantum navigation and adaptive technology. The real victory, she noted to Colonel Rodriguez, who had joined her on the council, wasn't in the technology itself. It was in showing them how to imagine new possibilities. Indeed, the greatest change in the 5 years since first contact hadn't been technological but philosophical. The Meridians and other species had learned to embrace innovation and creative thinking in ways their rigid hierarchies had previously forbidden. The result was an explosion of advancement that benefited everyone. On Meridius Prime, the crystal spires of the capital now housed research centers instead of military command posts. Former warship production facilities had been transformed into quantum engineering laboratories. The empire that had once sought to dominate through force now led the galaxy in scientific research and cultural exchange. "We have a saying on Earth," General Chen addressed the assembly as the session began. "The best victory is one where everyone wins." 5 years ago, the Meridian Empire thought they were declaring war on a primitive species. Instead, they initiated first contact with a civilization that had spent its entire history preparing not just for conflict, but for the opportunity to elevate our entire galaxy. She gestured to the holographic displays showing the spread of quantum mesh networks throughout known space, the establishment of consciousness backup systems for all participating species, the development of technologies that were rapidly making scarcity and want obsolete. Today, we take the next step. The quantum reality generators Dr. Zhang has developed will allow us to explore not just our own universe, but countless others. We can create and test new technologies in safe environments, experience other perspectives firsthand, and push the boundaries of what's possible without risk. Former first speaker Ixel, now a leading advocate for interspecies cooperation, rose to address the assembly. "The humans have taught us that true power lies not in domination, but in imagination. Not in conquest, but in collaboration. We thought we were advanced because we had mastered the stars. They showed us we had only begun to scratch the surface of what's possible." As the assembly session continued, ships continued to arrive through quantum space, vessels from the far reaches of what had once been the Meridian Empire, carrying representatives eager to join the new galactic community. Each ship was different, each species unique, but all were now connected through the quantum mesh, all part of a civilization that was evolving faster than anyone had thought possible. The war that had begun with an ultimatum had ended not with surrender, but with transformation. Humanity had proven that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or military might, but the ability to imagine and create something new. As night fell on the earth below, its cities gleaming with the light of a new era, the descendants of those who had once dreamed of reaching the stars looked up and smiled. They had done more than reach the stars. They had changed them forever.